Hi, welcome to the raw, unedited video of Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you want to see or actually want to listen to a final version of the show, we recommend that you go to smlr.us and download either the MP3 or the OGG audio file, and you'll hear the polished version. So there you go.
All right.
Um, so we're about ready to.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
And
The Sunday Morning Linux Review, starring Mary Talmadge, Tony Venus, and Matt Enders as the Beaver.
this is episode 152. Uh, 2/3. Is that what
Two
we're calling it?
thirds, yeah, 2/3. And we're calling it that because you probably noticed last week we didn't have a show, and that was my fault. And that threw our schedule off. And Matt was thrown off by that too. So and
Yeah.
we didn't confirm. So Matt's not here today. We're
Exactly.
gonna.
So what happened last week? Why Mary wasn't here was communication problems, and
I take full responsibility
well,
because you communicated. I didn't check my email because I was out of town for a part of the day, and then I was busy, and I forgot that we had moved it from Sunday to Saturday.
right.
So
But then
Sunday I was ready for it, but that was a day too late.
yeah, and then more communication problems happened with Matt not being here today.
Hmm.
So
So I'll take partial responsibility for that because I should have sent an email out just to confirm with everybody. So anyway,
uh,
but here we are, and we'll have probably a slightly shorter show,
yeah.
but that may be good. So Tony, what's going on with you?
Well, I did last show. I announced I was going to be doing a Cisco boot camp, and I successfully uh, completed the boot camp.
Was there a crucible? You know what crucible is? It's a
No.
in the Marines. Once you get done with their boot camp, you have to go on this like I think it's a couple of day thing where they just they throw
Oh.
everything at you. I mean, just
Oh yeah.
it's really grueling. Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe
Actually,
maybe
it's
just
they
the
didn't call
final
it the
test is.
Crucible, right? Yeah, that's
They
more
called
like
it the
final
final
test.
test.
But what we did have all of or almost all Friday, like 6 hours of Friday
Hmm.
was just they called the super labs.
Mm.
And so there's a book you go through and they tell you configure all the switches and all the routers in this configurations and just go. And
So
and then
did it
at the
go
end
at the end?
it did.
All
Yep.
right.
And then at the end it's like you should be able to do this, this, and this. And when you try it, and then if not, then you have to go through and troubleshoot.
Were you nervous when you started to?
Yeah.
A little nervous because
Oh
you
yeah.
always think, okay, is this
I
gonna work?
exactly. Yep. I think it's gonna work, but
So now with that Cisco, no, you got some kind of a certification once you successfully completed that course, right?
not the
Or is that?
course. The course, or I got a piece of paper saying I finished the course,
Oh,
but now
okay.
I have to
Now
go
you
and
can go
take
for
the
this.
test,
Oh, I
right?
see. I see.
And in the training that we did, or
Hmm.
I took, that company provides a voucher for the test. So in the cost of the training was included the voucher and stuff, and they do that guaranteed pass thing. So there's all sorts
No
of
matter
study
how many times you got
materials.
to take it. No.
Actually, they give it to you twice, and then
Uh-huh.
after that, they're like, maybe we should talk.
Huh. Well, so
um,
are you scheduled to take that test now, or are you
yeah,
gonna? Okay,
yeah. Well,
that's good.
I haven't actually scheduled it, but I'm going to do it this week,
Okay.
Thursday or Friday, depending on what's available.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be good. Yeah, because you want to kind of get that in while all that information is still fresh in your head.
right.
Because I
Yeah.
think back to that Python course I took, and I'm thinking I better read some book on Python because I have not done anything in the last month related to Python. Once that
Oh
thing
yeah.
wrapped up, and yeah, I think I need to move on and continue. But so well, good for you. That's
Cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
So
And then I have a couple other small things I did this the last couple weeks. Is you know that? Do you remember that program InSync? It's a
oh, is that this with editing or footnoting and that
no.
one?
It's to sync your documents to Google Drive.
Oh
So
yes, yes, I remember that now.
yeah, and it works. It's for Linux, and it
Hmm.
works pretty good. I went on there one day, and they had a free subscription day. So you go in and you can sign up that day for free service.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was able to get that, and I started it running, and it it synced the stuff I had in there down to my folder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wanted to sync stuff from my computer up. So do you remember about a month ago, maybe it was 2 months now, I had a article of how to use um, any like cloud service uh, syncing, and then
Okay.
have your files encrypted, and and what it does is
I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd remember it.
right. Well, it's fine. It's a command that you run, and you can run it as a daemon.
Okay.
And what it does is it mounts a folder as an encrypted um, volume,
Mm-hmm.
and then you point it to another volume or another folder, and it takes all that data and encrypts it, and then so everything inside this encrypted volume, is
Is
now
then
encrypted, and you can't see
replicated
it.
and encrypted somewhere.
It grabs, it
Okay.
says here's the source, and then it encrypts all that and has it as the folder.
Okay.
Well, and then you point your syncing program to that encrypted folder,
And then it's
and
gonna.
it syncs all the encrypted data up, so it's encrypted on your computer before it leaves.
Oh, okay. All right.
And you can use any cloud syncing app to use that with that. So that's what
Really?
I'm doing in sync with.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
that's
So all my
that sounds
data is
pretty good.
encrypted before it leaves my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what it's nice is because it does it on the fly. I don't have to think about I edit this file now re-encrypt it. I edit this file now re-encrypt it.
Mm-hmm.
I just work within the one folder, and
Mm-hmm.
it automatically encrypts anytime there's changes and stuff.
Okay. So
So
so really, there's no action needed by you. It just monitors that folder and detects the changes and takes care of it in the background.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
So how about you?
well, actually, in your comments about that are kind of a good segue to some of the things that I did. One thing I want to mention is since we last recorded, I think we talked about the fact that I was going to get that network drop and Matt was going to come over, and
Oh yeah.
Matt came over and did a great job. I also told him, I also thanked him for dusting the floor of my crawl space because when he exited, I think he had about 30 years worth of dust on him,
Oh
but
wow.
it works great. I got rid of that network wire that went down the stairs under the rug and into my office, so it was
Hey.
great. So we did that, um, and then the other thing I was working on, upgraded my laptop to PCBSD 10.0.2, and that went overall pretty well. I've got a little laggy thing when I move my windows, which I showed you earlier.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm gonna look into what video driver it's using, and just see if I can make some tweaks there to kind of fix that. Um, but then the other thing I did too is that I've been looking to move from Dropbox to another um, syncing and backup utility, and the thing that's really held me back from kind of going full over into BSD is the fact that I can't find that client that I can use in BSD, and then using Linux if I'm still using Linux. Well, as it turns out, Spider Oak, I discovered that there's a port in the FreeBSD port tree that contains the Spider Oak install files. So I went
Hmm.
in and I compiled it, installed it onto my PCBSD laptop, and it works. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm my next step is I'm going to test it just to make sure that I feel comfortable with the syncing, and then I'm going to purchase a subscription to Spider Oak, and then move away from Dropbox. So
Nice.
yeah, and the nice thing about Spider Oak, it's kind of an interesting utility because all Dropbox is, and it does it very well. It's just an automatic syncing, where if you have two devices attached to your Dropbox account, you make a change in one, it's going to sync it to the other device.
Yeah.
What Spider Oak does is they've got that syncing feature, but they also have encrypted backup. So I designate what I want to be encrypted client side, and then backed up to their cloud. And as they've indicated, they have zero knowledge of. They're not able to open those files or decrypt it or anything. That's all maintained client side. So there's kind of like two aspects to Spider Oak, and then I can set up a public share if I want. If I want to put some files out there that will that I want to make available to people, there's a place to do that too. So
All
I've been kind
right.
of playing around with Spider Oak and have found it to be, um, I think, quite serviceable for what I'm going to use it for. I'm just
Cool.
waiting for Tar Snap someday to get that little automatic syncing, um, in addition to the backup, because they do encrypted backup, and that's a pretty solid service.
Right.
But I like that syncing piece too. So,
Right. Yeah, it is very nice. I use it all the time with my setup.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I did,
Cool.
and I'm a better person for it.
Well, one other project I'm doing is I'm trying to learn Docker.
Oh, really?
Docker. Yeah. I have right now. I have two
Hmm.
physical
When you say,
computers
well, wait, when you say
servers.
learn Docker, what does that mean? Are you talking about from like an administrative side, or just to use it, or?
Just to use it, but to
Hmm.
use it, you
You
pretty
have to
much have
kind
to
of,
administer it.
as I was saying that, I was thinking, it's kind of both,
Yeah. Um,
right?
and what I do, I right now I have my Plex server and
Hmm.
my own cloud server and file server, and I want to combine those together, and I want to be able to um, and then so I thought this would be a good chance to learn Docker, and so I can containerize own cloud and have that running, and in case there's some kind of um, you know s- instability or security problems, then containerizing helps with that.
Hmm.
So I'm starting to learn that, and I got as far as to spin up a Ubuntu machine, and that's as far as I got. It took me about an hour to learn that much, and then
Really?
yeah, well, I
See that, to me,
there's some
that's kind of.
pre-built there's some
Hmm.
pre-built Docker Ubuntu or for OwnCloud
Oh, okay.
Docker containers
So
for OwnCloud.
so if you were to use those, spinning those up takes only a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah. Well, it
gotcha.
took more time to download it than anything else because you have to download the whole Docker
Hmm.
container, and it started up. It's just a few of the options. I wasn't sure of how to get in and edit the options for
Hmm.
that what that person had enabled. And they're like,
Okay.
"Oh yeah, you just enable and you can run MySQL," and it was already running. It was set up to run light SQL, and so it was just. I figured it'd be better for me to learn it in the
Hmm.
long run, and then I can roll it all and just learn how to do it all. But what I found was interesting is the way they containerize out is per like application. So OwnCloud with Apache would be one container,
Okay.
and then there's for MySQL runs
Hmm.
another one, and that would
A
be
separate
a
container.
separate container.
That kind of, what that reminds me of, and just the way you just described it. You've heard me talk of turnkey Linux.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me. I mean, these are like little virtual machines that you can either run locally using VirtualBox, or you can run it up in Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, as well. I'll call them containers, but they're really just these machines, and they're
Hmm.
they're very specialized. If you want to run, you can run a lamp stack. You can run, um, for example, you want to run a Drupal application. All the stuff you need is there, and then you just take that, put it up in at Amazon, and run it. So that it kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of that.
that's nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is the difference between containerizing and virtualization. But yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, it just, I mean, that aspect of it just reminded me of turnkey Linux, which I was in love with for a while. I still like it. I just don't. I'm just not actively using it.
yeah, you just
Um,
don't have a purpose for it right now.
no.
Right.
Although CouchDB, which is a non-SQL database, which is used by a lot of, I don't know if a lot of, but it's used by some websites
Yeah.
to, as their backend database. I'm kind of curious about that, because all of my experience with databases have been in relational databases, and I kind of like that. I like tables and joins and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I think it would be kind of interesting to take one of the turnkey Linux virtual machines, and I can run it off local, off my local system. Although I should be able to run it off a virtual machine in PCBSD, because it's a separate,
Yeah, as long as
machine.
you can,
Yeah,
yeah, have
just to
the
learn about
hypervisor.
CouchDB, because I don't know a lot about it, and I can't fathom how you can have a database without tables and indexes and all that. And I think it has indexes, but it's just done differently.
Yeah.
So,
You know what that makes me think about something, that when you're learning a new program like
Mhm.
CouchDB, um, having a virtual machine that's already set up and running makes it so much easier to learn it than having to troubleshoot what you installed that you don't know what you're actually installing or how
Yep.
to do it right.
Yep.
So yeah, that's nice,
Yeah.
because
So,
then once you get it down to how you know how to use it, then you can go through
Mhm.
and learn how to install it and administer it better.
yeah, and now that I think about it, I think it's MongoDB, which is another. It's of the same type. It's kind of like
And the NoSQL.
Postgres, SQL, and MySQL and MariaDB. I mean, it's a similar non S or no SQL um, database system.
Cool.
So, but yeah, so I might check that out and then report back. Oh,
Okay.
I've said that so many times, haven't I? All right. So I guess this week are we going to have a kernel update? Usually that
uh,
comes from Matt.
that does. I don't know. Should we?
Yeah, go ahead, Tony. Why
Oh,
don't you take a stab at it?
how about I'll just read off what's the main line.
Yeah.
The main line is 4.1 RC5.
Wow, it's already up to 4.1.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Oh, and then stable is 4.0.4.
Okay.
And then we'll let Matt take care of the rest next time.
Yeah. So, well, thanks, Tony. Matt's proxy.
All right. All right. And next up we have
Tony, what's going on with the Linux distributions this week?
3 weeks of distros.
No.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So
We're gonna whip through them.
yeah, we're gonna whip through them. So on 5.9 we have 4M Linux 12.0. 5.11 we have Black Lab Linux 6.5 SR1. 5.12 we have Rock Cluster Distribution 6.2.
Um, I had a few things to say,
Oh,
but that's all right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was actually gonna mention. Let's see, where did you leave off on? You moved right along to Black Lab, or are you there yet?
That's Black Lab, but
Oh, okay.
if you have something to say, it's fine.
No, that's fine. I was gonna mention the some distros, they're dropping their support for 32-bit ISOs. I'm happy to say though that Black Lab has not done that yet, and so you can get both versions if you need a 32-bit version, you can get that. So go
All
ahead.
right.
Just keep going.
We have UCS, or the Univention Corporate Server 4.0.2.
Yep. And they've got they've got that kind of that community version, and then you can also get the official support or the commercial support version. So
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that kind of support setup, because then
mhm.
somebody that is running you're just learning about it can install it and run it and learn about it, and then whenever you need uptime and running it in a corporate environment or something, then you can definitely have that available.
Mhm.
Nice. Next up we have is Conarcher.os. CONNOCHEA.
Canoche.
Canoche.
Canoche OS.
All
I
right.
think is it French? I think it's French, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, anyway.
It's based on Slackware.
Mhm.
So, all right. Next up we have is Tails 1.4. That was on the 13th.
Yeah, and they have a pretty regular release schedule, with all the security. And speaking of security, I think did the Patriot Act expire last night?
I'm not sure. I've
Or was it
heard
going
talk
to?
about it, but I can't
We
remember
have
what the
2
date
days of
was.
freedom. Anyway, all right. Well, we'll just move on.
All right. We have Nutix 15.05. And what was interesting is when I looked at that, I thought, is that Nutty X? Or but Mary,
Nutex, yeah.
we were talking before the show started. Mary told me how it's supposed to be pronounced,
Yeah. So
because it's NUTYX. So I thought Nudie or Nutty X.
uh,
But
Well, yeah, it's not
but
long U. I think it's it's Nutix. Well, no, it is a long
yeah,
U.
with the long
Nudix,
Nudix.
Nudix.
Right.
It's another Nix. Let's just say that.
All right. And then we on the 16th we have Handy Linux 2.0.
Yeah, that's the one I reviewed a couple months ago. Nice dashboard. It's a nice little distro. I remember that one.
Yeah. On the 17th we have Netrunner 16. That's the Kubuntu based Linux where they're actually developing Kubuntu also.
Yeah, they are, and well, it's not they're not developing. Well, oh, the company, yeah, that.
Yeah, Netrunner it releases Kubuntu now, doesn't it? They're
Well, Netrunner is a distro. I don't think that's the name of the company. I think it's Blue.
oh
Um, oh, I can't think of the name of the company, but the their um, Netrunner's website for this release was kind of humorous because when I say humorous, they kind of told the story about this release, and it had this kind of Egyptian theme to it.
uh,
Yeah, it was kind of um, I thought it was kind of fun when I took a look at it. But anyway, so yeah, I've thought about maybe if I don't take my workstation over to PCBSD, dumping Kubuntu for Netrunner
hey,
just to see what that's like.
all right,
And we'll see.
yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right. Next up, we have on the 17th is Parsix GNU Linux 7.5. Um, and then we have PCBSD 10.1.2.
Yeah, is it 10.1.2?
It is. That's
Wow,
on the 18th. It was
that's
10.1.2.
right. What was they calling it? 10.0.2. Yeah, and I think we were talking before the show that I've automatically, or I've set my laptop up to do automatic download. So Tony, if there was any drag on your network this morning, it was probably me. But one thing I've noticed, and I may have mentioned this earlier, is I got to look at that video, my video setup, because you see how I scroll and you notice that
Oh yeah,
it just, it doesn't do that fast scroll. It just repaints in a very,
yeah. Actually, it
what do you
yeah,
call that?
it looks like the hardware acceleration is been turned off. And it's just using what the software and the processor itself can, or the CPU
Oh,
can do,
yeah, I've
and
got an
try to
NVIDIA.
refresh the page.
Yeah, and I've got an
R-
NVIDIA.
Yeah, so it's not using anything the NVIDIA processing is actually doing. It's just so I would definitely look into making sure you have the video driver set up and
And it's interesting you say that because before, and one of the nice things about PCBSD is they have what are called boot environments, where basically are snapshots earlier.
oh
And yesterday, when I noticed this after the upgrade, yesterday I went and booted into a boot environment from early May, and I was back to my fast moving around and everything. And I did notice that when the NVIDIA driver is put in place, because I mean, they go ahead and use those proprietary drivers, but I normally get a little splash screen for the NVIDIA driver. I haven't been seeing that, so I suspect that something else is set up in there, and
that's it.
I
Yeah.
need to make a change. So maybe I'll have some interesting tale to tell next episode.
All right. That's pretty cool. I never heard of the boot environment before.
hmm
That's really handy. That's neat.
I've got, I think, 5 previous ones. I mean, I can get rid of them if I want to, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought I'm going to go back to the earliest one I have, which was like about a month ago,
Mm.
when everything seemed fine. And sure enough, I mean, I was able to move my windows around without any of that draggy slowness.
Can you then set that, say, like, I know this is when it worked good last time, set that as the base now? Or is
Yeah,
it
I think
just a
I think you
one-time boot
can.
back to
No,
or
I think it's, well. See, they use Grub, and I think that I don't know if it's. I have to do a little research. I don't know if it's part of that Grub, part of a Grub menu that's been set up, or whether it's really another, PCB SD specific screen that is hit after I go through the initial Grub thing. Although,
okay.
yeah, I bet it is in Grub.
Yeah,
Because if
that
you can list a kernel, if you can list the kernel stuff, when you think about, in Linux, when you've got a menu and you've got options.
yeah.
I'll do a
Hmm.
little checking on that, but yeah, but it is nice. It's just,
Yeah, that's really cool. All right. Next up on the 22nd, we have Q4 OS 1.2.2.
Yeah, they actually there's the server version. They had to do a little update. Apparently there was a bug that was causing the servers start to crash on some platforms.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, well, you know how that goes. You release something and then you discover, oh my god, and then you
Yeah.
got your bug fix update. So
Hmm. That's interesting.
yeah, but they also included a command to kind of help with that whole process to um, take care of that bug fix or to help with the bug fix.
All right. All right. On the 25th, we have Web Converger 30.0.
Yeah, those guys, they've been around for a long time. First time they hit distro watch front page was back, I think, in 2009. So they've been around for about 5 years.
Hmm.
And one thing I did note when I did a little checking on that distro is that with this particular release, they're dropping support for 486s. Because
Oh wow. Oh
this is
yeah.
a kiosk kind of a internet cafe where you could use underpowered PC, not
Yeah.
underpowered, but legacy PCs, because all you're doing is browsing, maybe email checking and that type of thing.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but they're finally, I guess, biting the bullet on 486. They're saying,
Yeah. Just about anything you do today,
yeah,
486 is not going to work,
not going to work.
especially related.
Yeah, so they basically did that.
All right. On the 26th, we have Fedora 22.
Yeah, you know what
And,
I heard?
hmm.
Um, they are going to be, I think, with the next release of Fedora, which is Fedora 23, if my math skills are in line, they are going to be ditching the Fed Up updater.
Really?
Yes, they are going to. So of course, I posted that in Google Plus and said, I hope they do something with the partition manager they use. Um,
Did you get a lot of flack from that?
no, well, no, because at the very end I say, once you get past that, Fedora is pretty good, and it is. It's a nice distro. But
Yeah.
yeah, on the developer mailing list this past week, I read that. Where did I see that? I think it might have been in Phoronix. I think it was. There was a little
Hmm.
mention of it. So I went over to the Fedora developer list, which I've never really been in before, and yeah, they were talking about it. They said a lot of I think it came in with Fedora 17, and they said we've learned some valuable lessons about how upgrades work and how they fail. And we've come to the conclusion that the current design is unsupportable, mostly due to upgrade.img, which turns out to cause more problems than it solves. So yeah, so what here they kind and then they kind of laid out kind of a little basic overview of how it should work on as far as the upgrade, and I think this replacement they want to do. So I guess we'll see what
Cool.
happens.
All right. Yeah, nice. All right, on the 26th, we have Gparted Live 0.22.0-2.
Yeah, I think I mentioned the last time we talked about G Party that I contributed. I sent them like 20 or $25 or something like that. They get a kind of a steady stream of donations. I think for the month of May they had about just shy of $175.
Wow.
I mean, come on,
Well,
people, you can do better than that. I mean, especially if you use it. I've used it.
oh, I see. Do they have a counter on their website? How do you know that?
I added it up because they list
Oh, they
everybody.
list it
Yeah,
all.
you'll
Oh,
see
I
me.
see.
I'm there from back in March when I donated.
Okay.
So I was going to put SMLR.us, but I probably should have. I didn't. I will
No,
next
it's all
time
right.
when I donate. But yeah, so I added it.
Cool. All right. And on the 26th, we have Alpine Linux 3.2.0. Um, and I know I've heard a lot of stuff about that, and it's security oriented, and built from scratch.
Yeah, and there's some increased interest in Alpine Linux with that whole system D. Not to bring up that ghost from the past,
Right.
but yeah, for people who don't mind rolling up their sleeves, because this is not a beginner's distro, um, and want to get away from a distro that's system D dependent, they can. Because I was checking their forums, and there was somebody here there that listed. They had quite a lengthy post about why they were moving to Alpine Linux, and that was
Hmm.
one of the reasons. So.
All right. Cool. Next up, we have Alt Linux 7.0.5.
Yeah, they've got this quarterly starter. They got these quarterly updated starter kits. And they're built from the Alt Linux stable repository as a base, and they kind of gear them toward experienced users as a way to have a look at um, various desktop environments or window managers that they haven't had a chance really to look at yet. Oh my God,
We're being attacked
we're
by
being
kids.
attacked. But anyway, so they've got those available for people. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of interesting. If you want to check that out.
Yeah. Let me go shut the door.
All right. And I think, yeah, we'll probably cut this. We'll probably cut this out of the audio. So Matt is in the chat.
Yes.
Well,
we haven't been watching it all.
yeah, he joined about half hour ago.
It's our typical ignore the
Yeah,
IRC while we're going along.
it's kind of hard to. Well, anyway, so we left off with Alt Linux. I think it was. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And next up, there's a development one that looks kind of interesting. At least it has an interesting logo. And I don't know how to say it. Magna
Go ahead. Just give it a try. We'll laugh.
Magakaka. No, Magaka. Magaka. New NYU. New
You,
Alpine.
you had
Alpha?
one too many cars in there. Let
I
me tell you.
did.
Yeah, it's mangaka, I think.
Mangaka.
Yeah, and actually, this isn't the first time that this was out there on DistroWatch. I think several years ago, and with a release, and hasn't really been seen since. So, and they kind of acknowledge that it's been a little dormant. So, I guess it'll be kind of interesting to see what's going on with it, because originally, as I believe that the text there indicates, it was originally, I think, focusing on anime or that that cartoonish stuff
Oh,
that I'm
right.
not the least bit interested in.
Right.
And now it sounds like they're broadening the focus.
All
so,
right.
So that may be that they're becoming unfocused. I don't know.
Well, right here it says that it's based on 1404 and strives to offer a responsive, customized desktop.
Yeah.
So, I wish them luck.
Might be worth a review.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
On the 28th, we have IP Fire 2.17 Core 90. So updates for your firewall if you're running that. And the last on the list is Tiny Core Linux 6.3. And they're pretty tiny.
Yeah, it's in 12 megabytes, I think. It's pretty tiny. So
Yeah.
So that's hey, 5150's in the chat this morning. Hey there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to.
Moving on to the top 5 of the week.
That's right.
At number 5, we have OpenSUSE with 1221.
Yep, and trending up.
And number 4, we have Ubuntu with 1464.
Oh, and trending down.
Yeah. Number 3 is Debian with 1559.
Trending down.
And number 2 is Fedora with 2186.
And trending up.
And in the number 1 spot is Mint.
And trending down.
With 3132 trending down.
That's right. That's right. And let's see. We'll do a quick scan of my my little BSDs here at 36 this past week. We've got PCBSD at 334, and then just a few notches below it, we've got FreeBSD at 314, and both of those just happen to be trending down. I think it's just a coincidence. I'm sure they'll be surging forward as soon as more people give them a try.
I think so.
They should.
Of course.
All right.
All right. The next up is Mary's What do you have for this week?
What do I have for this week? Well, actually, it normally would be Matt's tool. This is Matt's tool week, but I'll be happy to fill that void with
I think,
some.
yeah. I think our schedule's so far off of what we've been doing in the
Hmm.
past. I wasn't sure which was which. I was
Hmm.
hoping that you guys would work that out.
Oh, that's okay though.
But
One thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes back to our conversation, I think before we started recording this morning, we were talking about own cloud, and I had mentioned because in I believe the May issue of Linux magazine, there was an article about C file, and I had never heard of C file. It is a kind of a cloud-based application. When I say cloud-based, that cloud is sitting can be sitting on your own server,
mhm.
but I mean it's similar to own cloud in terms of functionality. I think there are some differences. I haven't really jumped in and taken a look at a lot of them, but the C file is. Hang on here. And one
Yeah,
thing we noticed. Go ahead,
it
Tony.
looks really cool. It says it's open source cloud storage for your teams and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So it enables a lot of collaboration and file syncing.
Mm-hmm.
And it says there's also mobile office. That looks cool.
Yeah, and I think it was they open sourced this according to the information on the site. I think back several years ago, back in July of 2012, and the whole theory behind open sourcing it is they felt that it would broaden its appeal and although unfortunately I hadn't heard of it until that article in Linux magazine, but it is kind of interesting, as far as checking it out anyway.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. Yeah,
yeah.
they have a pro license that you can pay for too, and
And the community
um,
version, which is free.
yeah,
And we talked a little bit about that model too, and how that can be a really good model. If you're somebody who's responsible for maintaining an IT infrastructure for a small company, or you work with customers who have that type of environment, having a company well like this, or like any company that provides that kind of service, where you can go ahead and install the free version, but knowing that they're in the back and you can go ahead and purchase a subscription
yeah,
for help is pretty nice. And I think that's how open source can really shine.
yeah, exactly. I agree.
So, all right.
That's cool.
So anyway, that was the only thing that I wanted to talk about as far as cool tools. Although I am disclosure or disclaimer, I have not installed it.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
don't.
Yeah.
The last time I did any kind of cloud server stuff at home was my Tornado server that I did a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
I still have one in the box I haven't even opened yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I should give it another try. Now that Matt has, he reorganized, or he put that network drop in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so great. I can't.
That's awesome.
Oh, it is. It really is.
Cool.
So, all right.
All right. So I guess news items.
Yes, I've got at least one item for the news. And this let me see, where's my news? Oh yeah, it's under banter. Not to be mistaken with serious stuff. Um, anyway, the I wanted to talk a little bit about the demise of the Mandriva company, the French-based company that had the Mandriva Linux distribution.
Oh yeah.
Um, one apparently, um, well, they had to lay some people off because they were trying to make ends meet, and usually when you've got more losses than you've got profits, something's got to give, and it tends to mean layoffs. But apparently in France, the rules about laying people off from work are much more stringent than they are here in the U.S. So when Mandriva took that action to lay people off, quite a few, or there were several employees that filed a lawsuit
Hmm.
against Mandriva. And again, referring back to the fact that they've got some strong regulations and laws about layoffs. Mandriva, I think, ran the numbers and figured that it would be easier for them to just fold up and cease to exist than to go through the whole process of fighting a lawsuit or lawsuits, especially if they didn't think they were going to win those lawsuits.
Yeah.
So um, So
Hmm.
there you go.
That's kind of unfortunate, because well, in the U.S., the reason that that doesn't happen as much is because we don't have the strict laws. But this is
Hmm.
one of the situations where that is it better to lay some people off and employ other
Yeah.
people, or have to close the entire company and everybody loses their jobs? So the people that are laid off still lost their jobs, and all their previous coworkers lost their jobs too.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I mean, so it's kind of like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
yeah,
Although the ones that lost their jobs due to layoff probably don't care because they were already without a job.
right.
Although now they have no recourse because the company
It's gone.
is going to
Yeah,
be,
and
yeah,
now that
liquidated.
the lawsuit that they went about, they were hoping probably to get some money, so for living
Hmm.
costs and stuff,
Hmm.
obviously. But now they don't get anything, and the company they previously worked for is gone.
Hmm.
So
Yep. But Magia, one of our favorite distros. No, just kidding. It's a nice RPM based distro. That has its roots in Open Mandriva.
hmm
Although it'll be interesting to see Open Mandriva. It'll be interesting to see if that gets taken up and continued. I didn't recall seeing anything to that effect, but I didn't read every article about the uh, demise of the company. So there may have been mention of it in an article that I missed. But Magia, which has its roots in Mandriva, is going to continue.
all
So
right.
which makes sense because it's a separate entity anyway. So,
Yeah,
but that was my one news item for this week.
cool. uh and I've been so busy this week, I didn't get a chance to look up any news, so I was trying to look up a few articles right now, and there's nothing that really pops out at me.
How about the 11 pointless but awesome Linux terminal tricks?
Yeah, a
Oh,
lot of these are interesting articles to glance through, but it's hard for me to like call them news articles. But
yeah, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, that's yeah,
I
it's
don't know what's that one. There's a um, there's a thing where you SSH into another server and it runs. It was called Blinking Lights, where it runs the actual Star Trek from or Star Wars from the beginning to the end. You can
oh, the
watch through
movie
it,
in
yeah,
ASCII,
in
I think it
ASCII
is.
format. Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never done it before. But that may be something worth posting at some point.
yeah.
Um, oh, the other thing I was going to mention too is that a couple of episodes ago we talked about the country of India and the fact that they had mandated open source, or that at least open source solutions had to be considered when they were issuing an RFP, request for proposal.
Oh yeah.
And apparently that's been watered down after Microsoft did some lobbying over
Hmm.
there. So I saw a little blurb about that, um, which who's surprised about that? I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's pretty much what I got.
One of the things they have on here is if you app-get dash moo or app dash get space moo,
Hmm.
then it shows the Debian, um, what is
Cow.
that, GNU?
Oh, is that
I think, yeah, the Debian cow, and it says you've been mooed today.
have you
Oh,
moved today?
oh, that's what it says. Yeah,
That's all right.
so that's
Yeah.
funny. And then there's an aptitude version also, but it looks a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, you can put Pac-Man into Pac-Man for Arch. There's an
Oh,
install that,
really?
yeah. So in Arch Pac-Man,
That's
um,
the I think that's the package manager, I believe, isn't it?
exactly. And as the files download, it goes through and um, it has a, little,
The
a
little
yellow C Pac-Man eating up the bits that it's trying to
Oh,
download.
that's funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Huh. Well, you put a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah. And
Um.
you could do the fortune, Kause.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there'll be a link to the show notes.
Good.
Link to the show notes.
Okay.
Link in the show
That's
notes
good.
for
That's
this.
good. All right. Well, what do we What do we have next? I don't have, surprisingly, I don't have a KDE corner this week, although I will make a quick mention of the fact that I believe that the KDE application frameworks, they just had a release for Kubuntu this past week. And I
Mm.
don't have the number, unfortunately, but I will make a mention of that. I do have a Linux convention scene for the month of June when we're ready for it.
All right,
Should we
let's
go
go
ahead?
for it.
All
Yeah.
right. Um, and we just mentioned MongoDB, and June 1st and 2nd, which actually is tomorrow and Tuesday, at the Sheraton New York Hotel and Towers in New York City, New York. So nice they named it twice. Um, we have MongoDB World 2015. Now, data is only worth what you make of it. MongoDB elevates the value of your data by letting you build transformative applications limited only by your imagination. Boy, that sounds just wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then we turn our attention from there immediately over to Japan because at the same time next week we have the Automotive Linux Summit. Now, this brings together innovative minds from, oh, yeah, I thought they were all at the MongoDB. Oh, wait, I guess they're the ones that aren't there. The innovative minds will be from automotive, open source, including system engineers, Linux experts, R&D managers, business product managers, and legal compliance specialists, etc., um, to discuss Linux in the automobile.
Nice.
Yep, and then
Where did you say that was at?
that's in oh, I'm sorry, that's in Shenzhen So Conference Center in Tokyo.
Oh, all right. Nice.
They just had an earthquake last week. It's like 8 point. It was just this huge earthquake, but there was
Whoa.
no tsunami associated with it. I guess it shook the entire country. So I
Mm.
hope everyone hope there are no serious injuries there.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, in at the same conference center, we've got LinuxCon Japan and OpenCloud Japan. This is the premier Linux conference in Asia that brings together a unique blend of core developers, administrators, users, the normal band of conspirators,
Yeah.
um, to discuss and talk about Linux and other open source technologies. So and what's driving the cloud and big data ecosystem today, along with best practices. So there'll be a link to that in the show notes. And then shortly after that, the following week, actually, we've got BSD Can. I thought about going to it this
Yeah.
year, and I just didn't. I'm going to Toronto actually in August, so for a Tigers game.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll go to the game, but I'll go to Toronto. But anyway, so BSD Can, that's June 12th through the 13th, 2015, at the University of Ottawa in Ottawa, Ontario. It's a BSD conference that has quickly established itself as a technical conference for people um, working on and with BSD based operating systems. So you can be, they really welcome developers um, and they've got a fantastic formula that appeals to a wide range of people from extreme novices, that would be me, to advanced developers. So how you can get both groups to fully appreciate a conference is really a skill that I think these guys could very well have mastered. So
All right.
one nice thing about BSD Can is that they do release the videos over time. So um, that will be nice. And I usually find out about that when I listen to BSD Now. And speaking of that, not to digress from the convention scene, I'll be back there in a minute, but this last issue or episode, I should say, of BSD Now, they were up at the Linux Northwest Festival. They're up in Washington State.
Hmm.
And what they did is they interviewed some Linux users, um, about their perception of BSD and everything. So it was really kind of interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, people, of course, had heard of it, and some I think had tried it a little bit. So I thought that was really kind of a cool interview to do. So it was like maybe 4 or 5 people that they interviewed.
Yeah.
So all right, Tony, you'll be interested in this. DockerCon 2015, June
Hey.
22nd through the 23rd in San Francisco. This is a 2-day multi-track conference organized by, guess who? Docker Inc.
Hey.
Yep, the conference will feature topics and content covering all aspects of Docker and the surrounding ecosystem will be suitable for developers, DevOps, system administrators, C-level executives, and extreme noobs. No, just I threw in that last one. But you know what? It's sold out.
It
So
is.
that is how. Yeah. So apparently, it was so popular. It's all sold out. But I think you can get put on a waiting list. So if there are cancellations, you can get in there. So
Yeah.
that's how popular that whole container virtualization,
Oh, yeah.
containerizing, and all that thing is these days.
Right.
So.
I mean, I admit Docker is like the new thing out. You know,
Mhm.
it's the new shiny right now. And
Mhm.
I was thinking about going with just regular Linux containers.
Mhm.
And then as I thought about it, I need to research to see how well it's supported in Ubuntu, because everything I heard
Yeah.
that it runs really great in Red Hat and Fedora,
Mhm.
but I don't remember hearing anything about it in Ubuntu. And that's what my machine is running right now. So otherwise, I'd have to wipe
Ooh,
and
you said
reinstall
right
everything.
now. That's what it's running right now.
That's
Are you
right.
thinking of changing?
No,
Okay.
I, I
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, it's just I would have to change it if I went with containers. I believe.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Well,
So
somebody will let us know,
yeah.
and we appreciate that. All right, moving on to the next convention. Yeah, June 23rd through the 26th, we have got and this is going to be actually at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston, Massachusetts. We've got the Red Hat Summit. So
Hey.
everything and anything related to Red Hat. They've got 200 plus sessions, hands-on labs, but like the Docker convention, it's pay to play. So
Mhm.
they've got, and I think they might be close to being sold out too. So
Hey.
yeah, so pretty popular. And then last one we've got for the month of June that I'm aware of anyway of major or larger conventions. There's a lot of meetups that I didn't log here.
Right.
We've got the Open Source Bridge 2015. This is June 23rd through the 26th out in Portland, Oregon. Open Source Bridge is an annual conference focused on building open source community and citizenship um, through uh, through several days of technical talks, hacking sessions, and collaboration opportunities. Participants include developers, hardware hackers, community organizers, and people involved in the business of open source. So that's Open Source Bridge out in Portland. So
All right.
there you have it. And that's the June Linux and open source software convention scene.
Cool.
That's right.
So one of those 11 pointless awesome things you can do with Linux terminal,
Yeah.
it's called C Matrix,
Mm.
and it's an apt-get C Matrix, apt-get install C Matrix,
Hmm.
and then just makes your screen look like the Matrix.
Well, it's like
Which
that
is
screensaver that does that, except you can kind of call this up on command.
yeah.
Okay.
So you pull that up, you just type C Matrix and it starts running it.
Hmm.
So that made me think about it. I'm looking up that screensaver right now to install it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder. I'm just thinking how this would do that. How this little script would do that. Whether behind the scenes it just basically calls that screensaver right then and just starts it in a window, or whether there's something else to get all that stuff to fall like that.
Right. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
good question.
Anyway, well, we don't have to dive into it, but
All right.
so all right. I guess that's really all I've got for that.
All
Moving
right.
on to what?
Um,
Listener.
Listener feedback.
Yeah,
All right, hold on.
that
I
was a
think we
hint.
missed the news sound bite, but
Did we?
yeah, listener feedback.
Can you put that in?
It's listener feedback time.
Yeah, I can put that in.
Okay.
All right, so listener feedback. I think we had two things for the last 3 weeks.
We did, I think.
We had a couple people put notes on the website or comments on the website about how the PenguinCon audio was had issues. Um, I I remember changing something in the middle of the show, and I thought that fixed it.
He meant to turn off Matt's mic, but he turned off everyone else's mic.
Yeah, for some reason, after I
Just
did the
kidding.
filtering, it cut out all audio but Matt talking pretty much. Uh, So I'm
And that
gonna
is so funny. I mean, ironically funny. But obviously, if you're listening to the show, it probably didn't sound that funny
right.
when you only have one voice and you don't have
Oh yeah, you can't understand
and a
anything
bunch
that's
of
going
guffaws.
on, and exactly.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm gonna try to when I get a chance, I'm gonna try to re-edit that. It's just I've been so busy.
Okay.
All right, and I don't know what else.
And then we had there was some, I believe we got something from Martino Jones, and I believe that he had talked about, and I'm looking at this from a raw email file, so I have to kind of go through all the HTML and other stuff here. But it we had, I think we had talked about, let's see here. I'm having trouble reading this actually. I should probably
On
save it
what?
as a.
When was it?
This was back.
Oh, Martinez,
Yeah,
the listener. Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So he wrote it to me toward me,
Oh, okay.
and he says he just started listening as of the last show, which was 510,
Mm-hmm.
um, and because he's looking for more Linux news
Mm-hmm.
and reviews. So our show came up,
Oh, good.
and
Yep.
he says that he likes our show, and that he's also a student over at EMU.
Cool.
Yeah, so
And we had, I think, a couple of episodes ago, and this is something some kind of listener feedback. I'm trying to find the email actually, and I don't track that as much. I leave it up to you guys. Um, but there was a mention of um, software that manage, budgeting software, managing money, and someone sent us an email talking about, and I apologize that I don't have your name handy, but you know how I am with that kind of thing. Uh, it's called Money Dance. And I went ahead and I installed it, took a look at it, and it's really kind of nice. What it does is it obviously allows you to maintain your checking account, your savings account, and then it provides the ability to generate several different types of reports.
hmm,
Um, for example, account balances, asset allocation, currency history. I don't know if that's when if you've done any currency exchange or something, expenses, income and expenses, net worth, all sorts of different graphs and reports. So you can have the textual version or you can have it graphically represented, and um, it looks fairly robust for that type of thing. And I think he
nice.
had talked about that and said that he uses that. And again,
Yeah,
that is
it was Scott.
oh
Um,
okay,
emailed us about that.
yeah, that's who it was. Thank you.
Yeah,
Because I think we talked about, was it K My Money? There's K My
yeah,
Money.
and
There's
Grisby and
Grisby, and there's a couple of other ones. And this one, again, was this is
Gene
called Money
Cash.
Dance. Oh, GNU Cash.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is called Money Dance in case you're interested.
All right.
And I think that's all that I've got.
There was email. It was mainly Matt going back and forth to somebody about the GPL and give back full Felicity.
Uh huh. What's that?
So uh,
Oh, the fallacy.
fallacy. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so when Matt comes back, I'll let him expound upon that.
Yeah.
I honestly I didn't have time to read through it.
Okay.
And I think that was it.
All right.
We have an email here from our latest uh, MP3s. Yeah, I, our is we have 346 downloads,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, for our for our total MP3 downloads. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All right.
but all right, and I think that's it.
Uh huh.
So we're gonna go on for some listener feedback.
Yeah.
Or no, this
Well,
wasn't
no, we
listener
just did
feedback.
listener feedback. Listener
So
feedback.
the our outro music,
Featured music of the week.
and I figured that I had this music queued up for last week. Figured we would do it, and it's "Stars and Stripes" by the U.S. Marine Corps band. And listen. So the reason that I chose this song is because whenever I think of the being patriotic and Memorial Day and everything, I always think of the song. So that's why I wanted to play it.
Yeah. And besides that, we got 4th of July coming up in a month. So
That's right. So it'll be the next show will be we'll play this again. No, I'm just joking. All right. And I think that's it.
okay.
So you've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This is episode 152,
2/3.
2/3.
That's right.
And
You're who?
oh yeah, that's I'm Tony Bemis.
And this is Mary Tomich. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, everyone who listened and watched.
Yep. All right. Bye bye.